Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Now, as we said last time, there are various temples in Tamil Nadu that represent each of these forms of Shiva. The temple that represents the form of Shiva as Kāla-samhāra-mūrti is in Tirukkadavur or Tirukkadayur, as it is called as Tirukkadayur. But if you look at the Thevaram hymns, it is called as Tirukkadavur. How did this name come? The Lord here is called as Amrita Ghateshwarar. So there is another story behind it. It says that after the Samudra Manthana and the Amrita was brought out by Dhanvantari, the Amrita Kumbha, and after all the episode of Mohini and everything, the Devas get the Amrita. The Devas then take the Amrita with them, and then they decide to partake the Amrita, and they place Amrita. The Kumbha, Amrita Kumbha is placed at this place. The moment the Amrita Kumbha is placed at this place, it takes the form of a linga. The Amrita Kumbha takes the form of a linga, which is the deity here called as Amrita Ghateshwarar. Amrita Ghata Ishwarar. Ghata means Kumbha, the pot. So Amrita Ghateshwarar, the Amrita Ghata which became Ishwara, the Amrita Ghata which became linga is Amrita Ghateshwarar. That is the name of the Murti, or name of Parameshwara in this temple of Tirukkadavur. How did the name Kadavur come? Ghata Ur. Ur is the Tamil form of place or city or town. Ur. Ghata Ur, the place where the Kumbha or the Ghata was placed. So Ghata Ur became translated, when it got translated into Tamil, as Khada Ur, because Ghata, even if you write today in Tamil, it is Ka and Da. Those are the two syllables you will use to write even Ghata. So Ghata became Khadavur. So it became Tirukkadavur. So it is in a way correlated with Amrita Ghateshwarar as the Mula Bimba. And it is also said that Markandeya Maharshi worshipped Shiva at this place. And the Sthala Purana says that this place is where Shiva, the entire episode of Markandeya worshipping Shiva and Yama coming and putting the Pasha and Parameshwara doing the Samhara of Yama happened at this place, and immediately also blessing Yama. So it is Nigraha Anugraha that happened at this place. So this is the form of Kāla-samhāra-mūrti that you see in the Tirukkadayur. So Tirukkadayur, if you go to the temple, if you go straight, right, you will have the Sannidhi of Amrita Ghateshwarar. On the side is where the Kāla-samhāra-mūrti's shrine or Sannidhi is there. On the way to the Amrita Ghateshwarar Sannidhi itself, on the left side is where you will see the Sannidhi for Kāla-samhāra-mūrti. So Kāla-samhāra-mūrti, in a way, if my guess is right, is facing the south. That means his Sannidhi is facing south, and south is the direction of Yama. So Parameshwara is doing Kāla-samhāra facing the south, facing Yama. He is doing the Samhara of Kāla. So this is the form of Shiva. As you can see there, you can see that Parameshwara with all the Ayudhas, and his Trishula is coming directly on Yama, who is laid down, who is there below. And beside you can see Markandeya Maharshi praying to Parameshwara. And beside Parameshwara you have Ambika along with her attendants. So this is the form of Kāla-samhāra-mūrti. And when you go to the temple, this is actually closed. The section, the below pedestal, which shows the image of Yama, is generally closed with a silver plate. It is generally enclosed. So you will only see, you will just see Parameshwara, Markandeya Maharshi and Ambika. You will not see Yama. They will specifically remove that plate to show Yama, because it is a Nigraha episode, right? So it is not openly placed. But When you go to the darshana, they will specifically open that, they will explain this episode, they will tell you this is how the nigraha of Yama was done, and immediately they will close it and say here also anugraha happened. So nigraha, anugraha, both they will not stop with nigraha. They will also continue with anugraha and then stop. So that is the form of the Kāla-samhāra-mūrti that you see in this temple of Tirukkadayur. Now on this Lord here, all the three Nayanmars, Appar, Tirukஞான Sambandar and Sundarar, all of them have sung the padigams of the Lord here. So let us look at those padigams that these three great saints have sung on the Lord here. Sambandar, he says, Haritaru Kālanai Shadinanum Hadavurtanul Viritaru Solpugal Virattanattarannalane. Virattanattarannalane. So Virattanattar, he is Tirukkadavur Virattanattar. He belongs to the Virattanam. He is the Lord of the Virattanam. Karitaru Kālanai Shadinanum. He is the one who put an end to Kala. Karitaru, the black Yama, who gives sorrow to that Kalan, to that Yaman. He proved an end. He proved a destruction. He proved an end to that Yama. Appar actually describes the episode of he even mentions of Markandeya in his Padigam. He says, Malinai Thavira Nindra Markandar Kagavandru Kālanai Udaipar Polum Kadavur Virattanare. Kadavur Virattanare. He is praising the Lord as Kadavur Virattanar. Kālanai Udaipar. He will kick Kala and protect Markandar Kaga. Markandar Kaga Vandra. The one who came for Markandeya and kicked Yama. So that entire episode is described in this Padigam. Sundarar, he says, Kondrai Kalan Uyir Koduttai Marayonukkuman Kandrarum Karava Kadavur Thiru Virattattul. Kadavur Thiru Virattattul Kondrai Kalan Uyir. You took away the Uyir of Kala, of Yama. Kondrai Kalan Uyir. So these are the different ways in which Appar, Sambandar and Sundarar have praised the Lord here as Kadavur Virattanar, and the Lord who put an end to Yama. So the episode itself comes here or is described in each of these padigams. Now this is about the Lord here. What about the goddess? Now in most cases, now this series is Śiva-Bodha-Mālikā, no doubt. But there are certain places or certain temples where we'll have to mention a bit about the goddess or the Shakti also there because of the prominence that Shakti has in that temple. So in this temple, the Lord is called Amrita Ghateshwarar and the Shakti here is called as Abhirami. Abhirami means one who is beautiful. Abhirama itself means beautiful to look at. So she is the very form of beauty who can give everything that the devotee desires. Bhakta Phala Prada. So she is the Shakti here. Amrita Ghateshwarar is the Deva and the Devi or the Shakti here is called as Abhirami. There is another story related to Abhirami here. What you see on the image on the left side is the image of goddess Abhirami. There was a great devotee of the goddess known as Abhirama Bhattar. He was known as Abhirama Bhattar because he was mad in his devotion to Abhirami. He used to constantly think only about Abhirami day in and day out. So people used to call him a madman. One day when the Maharaja came to visit the temple, many people complained against this Abhirama Bhattar. So the Maharaja saw Abhirama Bhattar. He didn't find him to have those indications of insanity, but still he thought, okay, let me at least ask him a question and know whether he is really sane or is he really living in a hallucination. So he asks Abhirama Bhattar, who is there immersed in the dhyana of Abhirami. He asks him, tell me, what is the tithi today? Abhirama Bhattar says, today is Paurnami. It is a full moon day. Whereas on that day it was actually Amavasya, or a new moon day. In his dhyana, in his trance, is what he is saying. In his trance, the words that come out of Abhirama Bhattar are, today is Paurnami. So the king definitely decides that this person is definitely insane, and this is going to be harmful to all the other devotees who are coming to the temple. Hence, we must definitely do away with this person. And he orders that Abhirama Bhattar be, unless he asks pardon for whatever he said, saying that I said false and I am really insane and I would not trouble anybody anymore, or I will not be in the precincts of the temple and stuff, unless he asks for the pardon, he will be burnt alive. But Abhirama Bhattar says, these are words that have come out of my mouth. Abhirami herself has said through my mouth. So there is nothing untrue or true about what I said. Whatever is coming out of my mouth is only coming through Abhirami, and that has to be truth. So the king gets even more infuriated, and he orders that Abhirama Bhattar be hung on a swing which is supported by 100 strings, and the swing is placed on top of a huge altar of fire, huge burning pile of fire. So all the arrangements are made, and Abhirama Bhattar is brought, imprisoned in chains. He's brought and he is placed on top of the swing, which is placed above a burning pile of fire. And the king orders one rope to be cut after a specific amount of time, one rope to be cut, so that after 100 ropes, the entire thing will fall into the fire and Abhirama Bhattar will be burnt away. The moment Abhirama Bhattar stands there, he just starts praying to the Divine Mother, and he composes what we know as Abhirami Antadi. It's 100 verses. It is in the Antadi format. That is, the end word of the first verse becomes the beginning word or the starting word of the next verse. This format is known as the Antadi. The Anta of one verse becomes the Adi, or the beginning of the next verse. So in the Antadi format, Abhirama Bhattar composes 100 verses. After each verse, the people of the king, they cut off one rope. And it is said that maybe around 70-75 verses are over, he is just sustained on 25 ropes. The Divine Mother graces, she gives her vision to Abhirama Bhattar, and she removes her tatanka, she removes her tod, the ear stud, the shining ear stud, she removes it from her ear and she throws it up in the sky. And that ear stud starts shining even more brighter than the moon. So on a new moon day, the tod of goddess Abhirami becomes the moon, and it starts giving light. The moment the light appears, people start coming out and see what has happened, and they find the moon shining brilliantly, even more brilliantly than normally it shines. And then the king realizes his folly, and he falls at the feet of Abhirama Bhattar and he asks for pardon. So he understands that this is the Leela of Abhirami, and he asks pardon from Abhirama Bhattar. So this is the beautiful story that is behind the temple of Abhirami in Tirukadayur. That is again a huge temple in the precincts of very near to the Amritakateshwara temple. And the Abhirama Bhattar, that is what you see, this entire episode is what you see on the right, where the Divine Mother has thrown her ear stud into the sky, which is shining like the moon, and Abhirama Bhattar is standing there folding his hands in praise of the Divine Mother. We shall now listen to the first two verses of the Abhirami Antadi.
உதிக்கின்ற செங்கதிருச்சித்திலகும் உணர்வுடையோர் மதிக்கின்ற மாணிக்கம் மாதுளம்போது மலர்கமலை துதிக்கின்ற மின்குடி மென்கடி குங்குமதோயமென்ன விதிக்கின்ற மேனி அபிராமி எந்தன் விழித்துணையே துணையும் தொழும் தெய்வமும் பெற்ற தாயும் சுருதிகளின் படையும் கொழுந்தும் பதிகொண்ட வேரும் பனிமலர் பூங்கணையும் கருப்பு கிளையும் மென்பாசகுஷமும் கையில் அணையும் திரிபுர சுந்தரியாவது அறிந்தேனமே.
So these were the interesting stories and the Puranas, the Sthala Puranas and the Kshetras related to Parameshwara as Kāla-samhāra-mūrti. I hope all of you enjoyed this episode. Do keep watching the various sessions on Subhu's Corner. Do share with all interested people. We shall meet again with another form of Parameshwara, another aspect of Parameshwara next Monday. Until then, Namaskaram.